Welcome. What's going on, everybody? I'm Kevin. Today, the topic was actually recommended by a live audience member from the TikTok who asked, what was my most intense, impactful DMT experience? And when they asked that, I knew exactly what it was. So let's get into it. Boom, 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 boom. Take the first hit. Okay, vibrations. Okay, boom. Take the second hit. Okay, boom, higher vibrations. Now I'm starting to see energy, an energetic sort of copy lifting 3 to 6 inches in the color of green off of everything that is, in the room. Everything physical has a 3D representation. I think that's one of the coolest fucking things ever, to be honest. Like, that in and of itself is more intense than any LSD trip that you're ever going to have. That experience right there. And we're talking about the second hit of DMT, okay? Moving on to the third hit. Oh my God, boom, boom, boom. The rules of reality start to break down. Distance, texture, self, ego, all of those things start to break down, okay? Now, boom, in the middle of the third hit, you blue screen. You guys know how it goes.
Jesus Christ.
You fall out of existence. You're like Neo when he got jacked into the Matrix from Zion, and Morpheus, or whatever the dude's name was, pressed enter on the computer, and he was like, It's exactly like that. I repeat, it's exactly like that. Your body is no longer here. Your consciousness is no longer here. Your body is, but your consciousness goes. Okay, and the only way to understand that is to experience it, okay? And understand this. If you've never done DMT, people telling you stories about DMT or ayahuasca is gonna seem crazy to you. It's gonna seem like lies to you. And believe me, I thought it was a lie too when somebody told me and I hadn't taken it yet. And that's precisely because how far out of this 3D reality those experiences are. When I say that you're experiencing new information, that's what I mean. And this is what I tell people all the time. I say, imagine if you spent your entire life seeing only the color red. Only the color red. Everything's red. Sky red, pants red, your skin's red, your eyes red, your juice is red, your fingers red, everything's red, your dog red, your Ferrari's red, okay, all that, okay? Imagine going your whole life seeing the color red, and then one day somebody's like, blue! Blue, right? They just, blue! They shine some blue in your face, and they only shine it in your face for 5 minutes. What happens when you go back to the red world? How could you ever describe the color blue to somebody who's lived in the red world? This is what psychonauts mean when they say it's hard to put into words, because what the information you're taking in is so different than anything you've ever experienced before. It is outside of this dimension. It is outside of this realm. It is outside of this plane. Are you following me? Okay? Now, when you go back to this red world, you go back with the knowledge that there is something else. You come back to the red world with knowledge of blue, and it changes everything. Okay? I see things for what they are, but I know that there's something else. That is the best way that I can describe like one of the perspective shifts that you have when taking dimethyltryptamine, DMT. Okay? So anyway, moving on. Let's get back to the trip, all right? Boom. I break through. Now I'm in a different plane of existence. I look around, and there's a group of like 5, 6, maybe 7-ish mechanical elves, machine elves. You'll know the ones I'm talking about when you see them. And anybody who's done it and met them, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They're like the helper beings. There's something interesting. They feel like lesser beings. There's not a lot of them, and they don't seem to have much ranking in this world. They seem to be the helper beings. They're there to serve, okay? That's as best as I could break it down. Anyway, there's like 6 or 7 of them, and they're all huddled around like this glowing mirror fluid sort of holographic puddle on the floor. And they're not paying any attention to me, they're just huddled around it. And so what I do is I come over and I look in the puddle. Like, what are y'all doing? What's going on over here? What's happening? I decide to dive into the puddle. So I dive into the puddle. And the second I dive in, it's 100% black. Boom. I'm going down. And at the end, I'm greeted with a visage of this. It looked like a hibiscus flower. And then the stem came out of the bottom. And then at the end of the stem was almost like a concrete / metallic, crunchy sort of core. That's the best way I can describe it. I had never seen anything like it before. I didn't know what it was. And so I remember consciously asking the trip, what is the meaning of this? Please tell me, what is the meaning of this? And as soon as I asked the question, I repeat, as soon as I asked the question, I repeat one more time. As soon as I asked the question, I was immediately, zoom, pow. Okay? Boom. I'm in empty black space. I know it's space. I know I'm in outer space. I just have this intuitive feeling that it's outer space. And when I'm out there, I see this all at once, but I'm going to explain it in steps, okay? Because this is how my mind processed it. And it's deep, everybody. It's so deep. Every time I retell one of these experiences, I get flashbacks as if I was there. I get not flashbacks like in my mind, but like in my heart, right? I start to remember those experiences. It's almost like a interdimensional nostalgia. And it's very deep. Sometimes I get emotional, and sometimes I get chills. I get goosebumps when I talk about these things, because that's how visceral and that's how real they are. So, I'm there in outer space, and I see the image of the globe. Okay, now I can see the whole globe in my field of vision, which means that I'm way far away from tens of thousands of kilometers away, because I can see the whole earth, okay? Superimposed in front of the image of the glowing earth is the image of a woman in the fetal position. It's the side profile. So it's sort of like this. She's crouched over and she's in the fetal position, but I'm not seeing the actual picture of the woman. It's a black silhouette. It's black, yet it's glowing. Imagine that, if you will, glowing blackness. I have no idea how to describe it to you, but it's exactly how I saw it. It was a glowing blackness. Now, it was a pregnant woman. And within her stomach, in the same exact position, was a side profile silhouette of an infant baby in her womb. So picture it, if you will, outer space, the vast empty blackness of outer space. In the middle of that picture, taking up my whole field of view, my whole field of vision, the earth. Superimposed on top of that, a glowing black side profile, the silhouette of a woman in the fetal position, black and glowing, and within her, in the same orientation, an unborn baby in the womb. Now, I'll never forget the instant revelation I had when I saw that. It was, oh my God, we're all one. Oh my God, we're all one. Now you hear a bunch of we're all one. But let me tell you something about these psychedelic and spiritual experiences. The difference between knowing and realizing. You can learn, you can hear stories from other people and understand in your mind any concept that people bring you. The oneness, right, is one of them. The oneness of everything. Okay. Another one that you may experience down your spiritual journey is the non-dual bliss. I could explain non-dual bliss to you all day long, the realization that there is no separation between this and the other. But you'll never truly understand it until you experience it for yourself, until you have that moment, okay? This was one of those moments for me. I had the feeling we are all one. We truly are all one. And I remember that realization zapped me out of the trip. I was like, whoa! It zapped me out of the trip. And I'll never forget, this was maybe the one of 2 times in my entire life that I've ever cried, wept out of the sheer beauty of something. I got on my hands and my knees on the floor of my apartment and just began to cry. I didn't understand why. It was just so beautiful, okay? I never forgot that moment. I will never forget that moment. And one of the most beautiful things was what happened days after, right? Because remember, your perspective changed. You thought there was red, now there's blue. Okay, now when you go back to your red world, now you're looking at things from a different perspective, yes? I'll never forget. The day after, I'm sitting there and I just stopped. I was just walking around, I was at work going from building to building. And I remember stopping and looking at the mountains. And I was like, whoa, the Earth is a planet, right? Oftentimes we see mountains in relation to us, like, oh, this is my backdrop. This is my scenery. This is part of my city, right? But how often do you regard the Earth like you would regard Mars? You look at it, in Mars, terrain is all that there is. And so you look at all the individual characteristics because it's so different from what you're used to. So you appreciate it, right? For how unique and special it is when you're looking at these other planets, when you're beholding their topography, okay? I had that moment for our own Earth. I was like, oh my God, this is the planet. Wow. How diverse this planet is. And then I looked at the ground and I was like, whoa, look at the grass. And then I started to understand my connection to the grass, to the tree, to the mountain, to the duck, to the cat, to the dog, to the water, to the other person, and ultimately to the earth, the universe, and beyond. And it was at that moment that I stopped killing things. No more bugs, no more pulling flowers from trees, no more pulling branches just because, whatever, boy shit. Boys, we like to tear shit down. You're building a castle, sandcastle, and we're gonna just tear that shit down. Like, we have this destructive nature that left unchecked can be terrible. Anyway, that was a day that was gone. All of a sudden I had compassion for things that I never had compassion for before. Why is that? Because once you understand your relationship to something, once you understand your relationship to something and how close it is to you, you realize that hurting it, hurting that, hurting them is hurting yourself. Why would you do that? I've carried that lesson with me from that point in time throughout my entire life. I understand the connectedness of all living things. And that perspective definitely helped me on my spiritual journey when I went further and was met with information, talking about the connectedness of everything. And it became that much easier to understand because I had already internalized that fact as true through experience. It was a very profound experience. It was amazing. It was amazing. Yeah, that was my most impactful DMT experience. If you've had an impactful DMT experience, please feel free to let me know in the comments. If this video unlocked anything for you, if this video sparked any new perspectives for you, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. I love just when you're engaged, period. We're about to hit 800 subscribers in no time. That's unbelievable. 100% organic. I love this. We're starting a little community of sorts, people engaging each other. This is what it's all about, because the greatest number that anything could ever be on this planet is one, and we're really becoming one on this channel. So let's see where this goes in the future. I'm excited to go there. Stay tuned. We got a lot of stuff in the pipeline. June is 100% psychedelic month. June is psychedelic month, okay? We might do some more psychedelic months in the future. In addition to that, for those of you who have stayed with me this late in the video, I have some amazing news for you, okay? Here we go. Next video is going to be my ego death experience on DMT, when my ego was completely shattered apart. And I mean shattered in the most literal sense, okay? You'd think it was the other video when I almost lost my mind. Nope, it wasn't that. It was this experience. Also, we're going to be coming out with a more structured, concrete upload schedule, okay? So you're going to be able to expect videos from me on Mondays and Thursdays. Mondays and Thursdays, okay? At around 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We got to work out the kinks, okay? And finally, for those who have stayed with me till the very end, someone hit me up in my DMs and put me on to a psychedelic, and this psychedelic is called mescaline. And this psychedelic comes from the San Pedro cactus and the peyote cactus. Okay, I've done immense research on it since, and I feel that it's time for me to experience this psychedelic. Okay, whereas ayahuasca is the grandmother, San Pedro is the grandfather. Ayahuasca, you take it at night, it takes you down deep into a journey. San Pedro is a grandfather. You take it in the daytime, it's a 12-hour trip. It lifts you up. You almost get a body stimulate you, and it's a transferal of information. Word is that you see other light bodies. Okay, you transmit information with your ancestors. What? You can see people's past and future lives. What? You can see your incarnations. What? I cannot wait. Listen, for legal purposes, I absolutely do not have 8 pounds of San Pedro coming to me. And I'm absolutely not going to extract it. And I'm absolutely not going to have a mystical trip and tell you all about it step by step and document the whole process. So for the few that stayed to the very end, yo, you got something coming for you. And let me know in the comments if you made it to the end. Just say like San Pedro in the comments and I'll heart it and make sure like we link because yo, it's about to go down. Anyway, I'm Kevin, also known as my higher self 751. It's been a pleasure. Until next time, I will see you all around. Hop over to my TikTok. I might be going live. All right, peace.